Hey guys, it's Rachel here. I'm so stoked to bring you this massive book haul. These are all books that I bought in the month of February as well as the very tail end of January. So because there are so many books to get into, let's just get started. The first book that I bought is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is actually the Worth Press special edition that I bought from Book Depository. So I will definitely put the link to where you can find this below in case you guys want to check out this edition as well. I mean, first of all, this is such a pretty cover. I adore this lavender cover, and there are orange sprayed edges, which is just incredible. One of my favorite parts of this book is that there are pages all about the principal characters. So we have pictures of each one as well as a very detailed description, and so that will definitely help during my reading experience because I love seeing pictures of what these characters look like so that it just helps me visualize the story better. So yeah, this edition definitely makes me all the more excited to check out this book at some point. The next books I purchased were actually both pre-orders. So the first one is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. I already know that I adore Brigid Kemmerer's writing because I read Letters to the Lost last month, which is a YA contemporary novel, and I gave that book a full 5 stars. I absolutely was obsessed with it. And so when I found out that Brigid Kemmerer was coming out with a fantasy novel, I jumped on that pre-order real fast. So this is essentially a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I believe this is kind of like an urban fantasy retelling. And all I really know besides that is that the main character has cerebral palsy. I've never really read any fantasy novel where the main character has any kind of disability. So I'm just really interested to see how that plays out. But I have a feeling this is going to be a really great book because Brigid Kemmerer is an icon. And the other book that I pre-ordered is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. This is actually the first book in a brand new duology set in the Grishaverse. And something I want to point out real quick is that the naked hardback of this book is absolutely stunning. I'm currently in the middle of reading the Grisha trilogy, which is actually the very first series set in the Grishaverse by Leigh Bardugo. So eventually I will get to this book, but it will definitely take me a while to get there, but I'm so stoked to have it, and I'm really glad that I pre-ordered it. The next 2 books that I got are actually from Book of the Month. So the first one is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. As soon as I saw this on Book of the Month's website, I immediately added it to my box. Angie Thomas is famous, of course, for writing The Hate You Give, which unfortunately I haven't read yet because it hasn't been picked out of my TBR jar yet, but I've just heard so many phenomenal things about that book, and I've heard really great things about this book as well, so I immediately picked up this book as soon as I could. And the other book that I got from Book of the Month is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which is by Gail Honeyman. I know pretty much nothing about this book except that Eleanor is a socially awkward person, but I've seen so many people rave about this book. So when I saw that Book of the Month offered this book, I just added it to my February box. These next 2 books I also got from Book Depository. So the first one is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Unfortunately, I had to get the paperback edition because the UK hardcover edition is out of print at the moment. But I was able to get the second book in this series in the hardback, and that is God's Grave. So hopefully they decide to reprint the hardcover edition of Nevernight because I would definitely buy that in a heartbeat. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this is an adult fantasy. I don't think this is YA. But all I really know is that it centers around a girl named Mia who is an assassin. But yeah, I've just heard really incredible things about this series. I actually pre-ordered the 3rd book in this series called Dark Dawn, mainly because the Waterstones edition had black sprayed edges, so I immediately pre-ordered it. The next 3 books that I got are the Complete Diviner series that is out so far. So we have The Diviners, and then Layer of Dreams, and then I also got Before the Devil Breaks You in hardcover. So these 2 books, Layer of Dreams and Before the Devil Breaks You, are actually on Book Outlet for a really great price. So when I saw that they were on there, I immediately grabbed them. This is a series that I've been interested in for a while. And then I just grabbed the first book, The Diviners, from Amazon for about 10 bucks. But yeah, this sounds like a really cool series. It's set in the 1920s, and I think it centers around ghosts and other paranormal beings. And I've just heard really great things about it, especially the audiobook. So yeah, I'm super excited about these books. So the next 3 books that I got were also from Book Outlet. The first one is Night by Elie Wiesel. This is a book that centers around Elie Wiesel as a teenager when him and his family were taken from their home in 1944 to the Auschwitz concentration camp. and I've just heard such phenomenal things about this book. It's only a little over 100 pages, so I will definitely be able to read it in a very short amount of time, but I've just heard that this is such a phenomenal read, so when I saw it on Book Outlet for just a few bucks, I had to pick it up. The next book I got from Book Outlet is Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. I don't know much about this book except that one of the main characters has bipolar disorder, and I've heard that the bipolar rep in this is really well done. And the other book that I got from Book Outlet is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I've just heard so many phenomenal things about this book. All I really know about it is that it is a historical fiction novel set in World War II. Next book that I picked up is Geek Arella by Ashley Poston. I actually read this recently via audiobook, and I loved it so much that I had to pick up the physical copy. I also pre-ordered the sequel to this, which is called, I think, The Princess and the Fangirl. I talked about this book in my February end of the month wrap-up, so I will definitely link that down below in case you guys want to hear my thoughts about this. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. The next two books that I got are a part of a series, and the first one is Year One by Nora Roberts, and the second one is Of Blood and Bone, also by Nora Roberts. So I don't really know much about this series, but what drew me into it is that it's supposed to be a fantasy series that is also post-apocalyptic, and I think it's also dystopian. So when I heard that all of those things were combined together to create one book and one series, I immediately had to check it out. And one of my friends here on BookTube, Lisa from Books and Smiles, raves about this series, so I knew it was something that I had to check out. And also something that I love is these beautiful end pages. I mean, how gorgeous is that cityscape? And last but certainly not least, I got the entire Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I actually already own this trilogy in paperback, but I wanted to get my own hardcover editions of the original US covers, and I cannot wait to reread this series at some point, because when I first read it a few years ago, I was absolutely obsessed. I flew through all three books in like a few days. I can't wait to read these new copies and tab and annotate them. And that is it for this massive book haul. I'm so excited to check out all of these books at some point, and if there are any books in particular that you just really loved, I would love for you guys to comment down below and tell me about them, because I definitely want to prioritize some of these books over others. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope that you would consider subscribing. Don't forget to push that notification bell button below so that you will be notified every time I upload. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!